What's up, guys? Welcome back to the WRPF podcast. I'm your host, Alex Uslar. Episode 43. Jaymii Morris, 7 weeks
What's
out from the Ghost Clash, Australian, morning of a Saturday for you, evening of a Friday for me. That's fucking crazy, right? Like, how trippy is the world? You know?
I know,
You're
I
the
know.
you're only the second Australian I have on. I had Lily a couple weeks ago, and same thing. Like speaking time zones and speaking days. When you and I were DMing back and forth about it, it was very confusing.
Mm. I was like, I'm not going to work this out. I'll tell you when I'm free. Figure it out. That's as
Exactly.
far as I get.
Thank the sweet baby Jesus for Google. You know, he did
Yeah.
something for us, and he made Google. He made it possible. So thank you, sweet baby Jesus, for that. Welcome on, Jaymii. Guys, if you don't know Jaymii, she's competing at the Ghost Clash in 7 weeks, like I just said. All right. If you guys saw the rankings that have been coming out, she's one of those very, very near the top. She holds a 622 dots, competing in the 198 class, most recently with that dots performance, putting you the number three all-time 198s. And I'll tell you what, Australia breeds some strong motherfuckers. You guys have when I had Liliana, I talked to her about the same thing. I'd say outside of the United States, country wise, one of the most legit powerlifting scenes with some of the most legit lifters. And it's very cool to have a lot of you guys coming over this year. This is your first time outside of Australia to compete and shit, right?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
Hell yeah. I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. So I'm really excited to kind of dive into the Australian powerlifting scene from your perspective and stuff like that. But let's rewind it back. Let's talk about, well, first of all, I emailed you the link and I loved your email profile picture. It was so MySpace 2007. Tell us about that. The same picture you've had since 2005, 2006 MySpace, right?
Every time I see it, I'm like, I should probably change that. But also, I'm not really good with technology. So I'm like, it can stay there.
Dude, that was so epic. I'm like, holy shit. That was 20 years ago. These kids nowadays won't understand those fucking signature MySpace scene kid pictures. Absolutely
Yeah.
love that. Most of these kids
Yeah.
have no idea what we're talking about, but I loved
Look,
that.
it looked like this.
Yes, 100%. Oh my God, such good times. So talk to me. Take me back to those years. All right. Take me back to the 2006. All right. The scene haircut, the scene days, the MySpace. What were you doing before powerlifting?
So before powerlifting, I was just, trying to figure myself out, like, just started hairdressing, and just dabbling in the gym. And then I touched on a little bit of CrossFit and I realized I was super unfit, but super strong. So my workout partner was like, I'm going to teach you how to do a back squat and I'm going to teach you how to do a deadlift. I was like, okay. Anyways, so I was like doing box squats and I was doing like 120 for reps. And I'm like, oh shit, like I'm kind of good at this. And anyway, I just taught myself how to basically do powerlifting until I got a coach. And yeah, it just escalated from there. I just
So,
haven't stopped.
so that first exposure to going to the gym, around what time was that? Were you like a
Oh, God.
teenager? Were you already an adult?
Yeah, yeah, probably at least like 15 years ago. I used to go with my mum and do the classes. And then I started going on my own to do them. And it was really funny, like body pump was my favorite. So I'll just be like laying at the back with like, I think it was like 10 kilos, just doing all the reps. And I always used to verse this guy at the back, and it was like me and him had the biggest weights, and everyone had like 2.5 kilos per side. And me and him are like, and I was like, well, I'm doing stuff back here.
Fuck yeah. So no sports while you're a teenager, but going to the gym with your mom, doing classes and stuff like that.
When I grew up, I actually played hockey for about 10 years. So that was really cool. I was really good at that, got into like some regional and like, pretty up there teams. But yeah, then I just started hairdressing and had to work on Saturdays. And basically just didn't have the time to be doing team sports. So the gym was probably the easiest thing. I could kind of go in between everything. So, yeah.
Through that time while playing team sports like hockey and stuff like that, was your coach having you do lift weights? Were women like lifting weights like for sport?
No, no. I remember once upon a time, when I was playing hockey, I went to the gym with this guy and he did powerlifting and I didn't even know what that was. And he's like, oh, come to the gym and train with me. And I was like, okay. So we were standing in the squat rack for like 2 hours. And I was like, how do you just stand in the squat rack for 2 hours? And I'm like, what is this powerlifting? And I remember he got me to squat, and I think it was my first time, squatted like 70 kilos, like not knowing what I'm doing. And he's like, wow, that's pretty good for someone who doesn't know what they're doing. And yeah, I didn't really realize that you could spend the whole session in a squat rack or, a bench, like laying on the bench. And now it makes sense. I was like, oh, this is
Here
fine.
you are 15 years ago now doing it and flying to fucking Miami to do it, right?
Yeah, I'm like, what the hell?
I definitely feel like hockey is definitely a sport that builds strong legs, builds an athletic foundation. So I can definitely see how it would transfer over. Obviously, here in the
Yeah.
U.S., hockey is pretty big, especially in the northern states. And weight room stuff is very common for that. But obviously, we're talking about 15 years ago, much less common
Mm.
for women. So you continue working out, you continue going to the gym normally on your own, doing classes, going to a regular gym. Talk to me about that period when you found CrossFit. What got you from like a regular gym to a CrossFit gym? Was it just because it was fucking all the fad in 2013, 2014, whenever it was?
No, well, like I said, I was just doing the classes like body pump and a little bit of like body attack. And the lady that was teaching the classes, she needed someone to train with on a Friday morning. So I said, oh, okay, well, I'll get up early and I'll train with you. And it was good because it was kind of like a free PT session type of thing. And so anyway, when we were training, she was really fit and I was really strong. And if we did like a pairs workout, she would kind of do the fit stuff and I'd do the strong stuff. And yeah, I could never like catch my breath. I was just like, this is just too hard. I just want to do what I know. So I just sort of stuck to the powerlifting and yeah, I think I found my niche. Yeah.
So take me through kind of that time of trying that CrossFit and then kind of converting to the powerlifting. Around like what year was that? Because I like to look at everything from like the eras of powerlifting, right?
Mm,
Because since
yeah.
around like 2012, powerlifting, there was a big boom of Raw and it had a huge evolution over these last 13 years. So where does that kind of fall into that?
So I was going to say probably about 9 years ago is when I like started touching on it. And it's really funny because back then, like girls that were like, I think I remember like I think my total was like 300 and something. And I was like, oh my God, cool. I'm nearly at 400. And then when people were finally hitting 500, it was like a big deal. And I was like, okay. So then I was like, all right. So then I got up to 500. And then I was talking to Sarah Rainbow yesterday. And anyway, we're chatting about like the world record total. And I said, what is it? And she's like, I said, I mustn't be close enough. I don't even know. And she said, yeah, like 770 something. And I'm like, wow, like all of those years, how much it's grown. And it's like people are doing it now. And back then I'm thinking, wow, that's a lot of weight. But here I am sitting, in the top in the world and I'm still like, there's more.
Yeah.
How? How is this happening? Like, just when you think you get good, it's like people are still getting better. So it's like no stopping. You have to keep going.
100%.
Crazy.
And that time, so when you started powerlifting, you said 9 years ago, about 2016-ish, 2015,
Mm,
right? Powerlifting was already like getting a huge traction, right? I personally
mm,
remember 2014, 2015, watching, big dogs fucking struggling with this Australian time zone at 3 a.m., literally awake in my bed watching powerlifting on my phone before I met my wife in 2016. And that's how I can kind
mm,
of remember those timelines. And powerlifting was in Australia, United States, very unified in a lot of aspects, where a lot of the Americans and Russians, whoever, would all go over to Australia. Some of the Australians would come over, vice versa. And it was really big, but it was really dominant for men, right?
Yeah.
It
Mm,
wasn't female at that time. Those like a lot of the male numbers have been pushed, right? But not to
mhm.
the extent at all that the female numbers have been pushed and the female competition has been pushed, you know? So
Yeah.
in that time, when you're starting to look at it, you're looking at those numbers. You're looking at, oh, I want a total 400. I have a 300 kilo total, whatever it is. What was powerlifting through your lens, right? Were you watching these meets like big dogs? Were you following these male powerlifters? And what was some of your first exposure to some different female powerlifters that were inspirational figures?
Well, when I first started, I think I was about 6 months into powerlifting and I got an invite to Pro Raw. And I was still like just learning powerlifting. Like I was just happy to be there. And I'm pretty sure I came last in the comp, but I was just like, wow, like look at all these people, like they're so strong. Anyway, yeah, and then just as the years sort of went by, like Lily Riley and Sarah Rainbow, for example, like they've literally been along the ride with me like since day dot, and just to see how far all of us have come, it's like really shows you need to like stick to it. But you see all these people drop in and out, and it literally is just taking that long to get anywhere. Like that's how, yeah, it's crazy. Like every day, it still blows me away. I see these comps and I think, how the hell did she do that? Like, it's yeah. I'll never get sick of it. I don't think.
And it's crazy to look at because it's such a blend, because there are so many people. And as I interview different people going leading into the Ghost Clash, leading into these different meets, and a lot of people who are around our same age, around 30, have been in the sport 10 plus years or give or take a few years, you know, so many of them look at that and see kind of that slow burning linear progression of, getting up, climbing the ranks, but that rank gets higher and higher and higher. But
Mm,
it's also fucking so crazy the amount of people who've just come out of left field, right? That have
mm,
completely came out of nowhere, that are just, phenoms that can come and just, it's their first year in the sport, sweep it all away, as opposed to just looking at that kind of just linear progression up. And
mm.
it just makes it that much more exciting. It just makes it that much more of a spread field. And then when you have things like huge fucking oceans separating us, people aren't aware of a Jaymii Morris, unless they look on
Yeah,
powerlifting and they're doing all these different filters and looking at their weight class and looking where they're going to rank her. Damn, I want to move her out of the top three and I want to be in the top three, until
yeah,
we have opportunities like the Ghost Clash, right? And it's so cool to see because, like I said, in those years, whether it was Pro Raw and Steffi flying over to compete at Pro Raw, or, it was Big Dogs and, Dan Green and all these different guys flying over to do it, and having some Australians come over here, I don't think there's been as much international travel of people from over the pond here to the
mm,
US as there is in this last year or two. And
yes,
I think it's going to help push and escalate that competition even more, right? When you're going to be
mm,
on the same platform as the person who holds number one, even though she's not going to
yeah.
get any raps on that day, in the category that you're aiming to be at.
Yeah, yeah. I in the last couple of months, like in October, I went to Spain, competed at the Arnold's for the strongman, and then I went over to Russia in December to compete at the World Championship in powerlifting. And obviously now I'm going to go over to Miami and do the Ghost Clash. But yeah, exactly what you said. Like seeing those people that are like ranked above you, like it's nice to put yourself in that sort of competition because here, like I rank second in Australia, like pretty much of all time, and you need that competition. So the girls that are above me, I'm like, well, let's go verse them. Like they're probably looking at me going like, I want to go to Australia and verse her. Like I want to put myself next to the best because that's what pushes me to be better. Like obviously if I was like 40 something, I'd probably be a bit more chill about it, but I'm at the top now and I'm like, let's go. Like if I come second or third to them again, like they're literally first, second, you know what I mean? Like it's just a heart, like a really good feeling to just be pushed to the absolute limit. And I know here in Australia with Sarah, you know, I know she's not getting any weaker. So it's actually making me like try and chase her, which is making me work harder. So to put myself in these positions is basically all I want to do just so I can grow as an athlete. Yeah.
And I love that. That's super important, finding that balance of competitive nature, but also camaraderie. And
Mm,
like you said, Sarah, she's your weight class opponent, but you guys are friends and it pushes
yeah.
each other. You know what I mean? Um,
Mm.
I love it. So take me, let's kind of restart that history. So your first competition was August of 2016, right?
My
According,
first,
according to Open Powerlifting.
yeah. So that was, God, that was a long time ago. I think that was, was it it was an APL? I can't remember.
Capo,
Anyway, it was a
what
long
it
time.
says. Something.
It was, it was a long time ago. I remember I was squatting, I think I squatted 160 in sleeves. And I think, and like, yeah, it was so funny. Like I remember like squatting super deep and I'm like, oh shit, like I can't get out of the hole. I was just like, and I just had to. But thinking now to like, people that are just starting in the gym, I'm thinking, shit, that was heavy. Like no one squats 160 straight up. And I literally just got here and I'm like, here's 160 in sleeves. And I was like, sink it. Oh shit. And I'm like grinding it all the way up. That
And
was
then
a really good
that deadlifts
yeah.
185 kilos, deadlifting over 400 in your first competition. No,
Uh,
that's sick. So leading up to
yeah.
that point, again, you had been familiarized with the gym. You had squatted a barbell 70 kilos the first time you fucking squatted. So what
Mm.
did it look like leading up to you deciding, okay, I want to compete and I'm going to do this competition? And what did it look like leading into that?
Well, at the time I was in like a squad, and so I had a lot of like support. And so even though I knew nothing, the girls that were in it they were strong. There was maybe one or two that was stronger than me. So I knew, I didn't have a big head. I was just happy to be there. Like I thought, they're doing that. So at least I know I'll be able to do that. And yeah, I guess I just had the support around me. So I was just happy to just follow the rules, listen to what they were saying, get the feel of, okay, squat, rack, and yeah, I guess because I just never stopped, I was like, I liked it. I just got good at it. So now I've just always got something planned and just gives me something to look forward to,
So that first competition you did, it said you did it raw, right?
Mm,
So
yeah.
you do that first competition over a 400 dots, which I know it was fucking Wilkes back then. So whatever that equated to, whatever the scoring is, you then out of nowhere get an invite to compete at Pro Raw, right? So
Yeah.
what did that look like? Getting that invite, seeing you'd been watching powerlifting, you'd been involved in it, but you took your time kind of till you competed, and deciding to prep for a meet like Pro Raw as your second fucking competition, which is nuts.
Well, yeah, like as I said, I was still like pretty fresh to the game. So it was a bit eye-opening. I was like, wow, like should I be here? Like I just got here. um, but yeah, everyone was like super nice and stuff. And it just, yeah, like I said, it just showed me what was possible. And I was the baby of the sport and I was just happy to be there with, my big colored piggy tails as I do. And yeah, I think I've made a lot of good connections and, grown with those people. And as I said, Lily Riley, she was from way back there. And we've got this really cool friendship now that, we keep each other accountable. We're friends and we just keep growing. And yeah, I really enjoyed, I guess, just meeting those people and keeping me on track just to know that I can always be better. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that meet has always been a meet that people have looked over there, and obviously is a huge goal for Australian
Mm,
lifters to be able to go to. So for your second competition to be able to go to that, meet so
mm,
many people as you did, I feel like something like that just sets you up kind of, for
yeah.
success, just to be better and better, right?
For sure. Well, that's it. Like, and as I said, like, I'm pretty sure I came last. So it was kind of like, you're at this competition, you came, in the bottom end, which means that you have so much more potential to grow. And it was only last year, I actually won pro raw in my weight class, and I was like, man, like that just shows, if you stick to it, like I've climbed the ladder. Like I literally just climbed the ladder. It took time, but like I got there. So yeah, it's just really cool to be a part of it. And at the time, I didn't realize how big of a competition pro raw was. I was just like, it just didn't sink in that like I'm with these best people ever, and now here I am traveling the world with literally the best ever, and I'm one of them. And I'm just so, I don't know, I'm so chill about it. I'm just happy to lift weights, and it's kind of good enough. Like everyone's like, well, like I remember the other day, you were mentioning the gladiators. I went to a CrossFit gym up in the Gold Coast, and Raven, she's a CrossFitter, and she looked over at me. I was doing overhead press, and she's just like, "You're literally overhead pressing my max for like 8." I'm like warming up with 60 kilos, and I'm like, yeah. And it's funny because you just don't think as a power lifter how strong we actually are. We can just do shit, and it's kind of handy. you know, just move the weight from here to here just to move it out of the way, and it's like fucking 80 kilos or something.
It's
It's
nuts.
handy. I
It's
like being strong. It's pretty cool.
so let's kind of we'll speed through that stuff because you even mentioned competing in strongman. We mentioned the gladiator. We'll get there in a second. So through these years, right, since 2017, competing at Pro Raw 9, competing at Pro Raw 10, competing at Pro Raw 11, right? Every year competing at that big meet, doing other meets along the way, always competing in knee wraps, and for the most part, always kind of at the 181 weight class, right? So you're climbing the ranks, you're getting stronger and stronger. You see yourself progressing, you see yourself, and you have these other people around you pushing. In this timeline, if you can kind of remember, at what point through these meets, from coming in last at Pro Raw 9 to, winning Pro Raw 13 in 2023, 6 years later, at what point was it kind of like, oh shit, I can be one of the best and I could be really good? Like, when did you kind of have that oh shit breakthrough moment?
Well, I think maybe in the last, I don't know, 3 years or something. Um, yeah, I was doing like the GPC comps, and I started to break like Australian records, and then I did a couple of WRPF comps, and I was like, oh, I've just broken a world record. Like, and then I realized, shit, I'm at the top. Like, and then I went in another comp, and I'm like, oh, I'm breaking a world record. Oh, but I already have the world record. So it's like people are trying to take that away from me because they're trying to beat me, and I'm like, no, get it back. Like, so it's like I'm trying to keep my spot now. Like, people are coming, so I'm like, just yeah, yeah, probably like in the last couple of years, I'm like, everyone's getting a lot stronger, and I feel like I've got this spot where I feel like I'm held so highly, and yeah, I have to stay there. And as I said, everyone's coming, so it kind of makes me try to run away and like just try and be stronger and better. And yeah.
Hell yeah, I love it. So through these last couple years, right, since 2020, really climbing the ranks from hitting a 500 dots to then fucking hitting a 600 dots like a little over a year later, you started dabbling around in other things. You started dabbling around in strongman. You started doing shit like that. So where did the strongman come into play while still competing fairly frequently? You competed 3 times in 2022, 4 times in 2023. So where did you find time to mix that in, and why did you mix that in?
So when COVID happened, and there was a lot of powerlifting comps that just weren't on, as I said earlier, like I like to have something planned. So there was a few strongman comps, and I thought maybe I'll just do that. So I was still training powerlifting, but I just wanted to have a little bit of fun. And going back to like the CrossFit, where they're running around and whatnot, like I don't mind a bit of, crazy, like, and to be strong and to move stuff. I thought it was strongman's perfect. I can run with a yoke on my back. Like I can probably squat that. Why can't I run with it? Or, I'm strong enough to pick stuff up. Why don't I just do cool stuff like pick up a big stone or, so yeah, I sort of got into that during COVID, and then I kind of got good at it. and then powerlifting comps started coming back. So then I'm just like trying to juggle the both. And I don't really keep in the loop a lot with the strongman, but people say, "Oh, Jaymii, are you doing this comp?" And I say to my coach Joanne, I'm like, "Do you think I can do this and this? Can you just program that so I can do both?" And she's probably sick of my shit. I'm always like, "Ah, I've got an idea. Let's go with this." So she's the maths behind all the stuff I do. And yeah, I can't sit still. I like to do it all. And now I've got the itch for the travel. I'm like, take me to Russia, take me to Spain, let's go to Miami. Who wants to come? Like, yeah, I've
Yeah.
got shit to do.
I love it. Well, I mean, looking at your progress over the last few years, I mean, you've gotten astronomically stronger. So whatever you're doing is working. And I
Mm,
looked at some of your different training videos and I'm like, oh, wow, a lot of this looks pretty unconventional for traditional powerlifting. And then when you said you do strongman also, I'm like, oh, it makes sense that that adds up. So do you
mm.
feel like, that's played a large role into some of your additional strength and additional success in powerlifting is dabbling the two? And what does your training kind of look like to be able to balance both of them?
So a lot of the time when I'm doing strongman, I don't often train it specific. So I mostly do my powerlifting training and then go wing it on a comp day. But like if I've got to do something specific, like I don't know, the monster dumbbell, like I'll have a quick little go. And people always laugh because, I might have like one go in training, go, all right, I'm ready to do strongman. And then I turn up on the day and I like win the comp or whatever. But I think because of the squat, bench, deadlift, my strength carries me over. So yeah, I don't really train a lot of strongman. I feel like it hurts me a lot. Like, running on one leg with a bloody yoke. I'm like, I'd rather just stand here and squat. If I'm going to hurt myself, I'll do it on the day. And all the like, yanking the ball or things. And yeah, I don't
You,
know.
you, you
It's
don't
just,
train a lot of those specific implements. You just fucking go in and you wing it.
yeah, pretty much just raw dog the strong man. When I went over to Spain for the Arnolds, I had a comp coming up for powerlifting like a couple of weeks later. So yeah, I went to the Arnolds and I'm now Europe's strongest woman. And I'm like, that was the biggest fluke of my life. And I'm pretty sure I think the German girl next to me was pretty pissed off. She looked like she was there to win. And I've just come in and won by like 1 point. And I'm like, oh, sorry.
You're like, I never touched these balls. I never put them on my shoulder, but I fucking figured it out in the moment, right?
I mean, like, it was so funny. I was doing the monster dumbbell and like, I don't really know how to use my legs. So I've just like picked up like 40 kilos, put it on my shoulder, and I'm like, and I'm just doing it. Whereas everyone's like jumping around. I'm like, how do you do that? Like,
Yeah, well, I
yeah, I'll
feel
just
like,
have
I
fun.
mean, female strongman is very big. It's big, but I feel like female powerlifting is much more competitive
Bigger.
and much more difficult.
Mm,
But then if you take one of the strongest female powerlifters of all time in all three disciplines, because you're very well rounded. You're not a
mm,
specialist in any one single lift,
mm.
very strong in all three individually. So if you take that absolute brute strength and brute force and you put it into that, then you're gonna fucking ragdoll the shit out of it.
Yeah, except for the technique goes out the window. But if there's a deadlift, I'm like, let's go. I know I can deadlift. You got the yoke, and I'm like, I'll put it on my back. Now I just got to run fast. And when I'm in a competition and I'm doing the strongman, I feel very like full on. Like my adrenaline is 100 miles an hour. I'm super crazy. So I'm like, let's fucking go. Like, so it's exciting for me to just know that I'm super strong and I can just do shit. Like it's so good. Yeah.
Take me through last year. So 2023, like we said, you competed one, two, three, four, and then you said also a Russia meet that's not on open powerlifting. So 5 times in powerlifting. How
Mm,
many times did you compete in strongman? And like you said, you just want to see what's next. You want to have something to kind of work towards. And you also
mm.
stayed healthy. So how do you feel like you kind of balanced all of that back to back while still staying healthy? Knock on wood.
Oh, Do you know what? My life is so random. Like anyone could ask me a question like that, and I'm just like, I don't know. It's just Jaymii. Like that's just what I'm used to. Like I don't know how I do half the shit I do. Like I eat pretty healthy most of the time. But yeah, like I'm pretty much on pre-workout my whole life. Like that's just how I work. I'm just 100 miles an hour all the time. And if I get excited about something like strongman powerlifting, going to the gym, whatever, like I'm just like, let's go, like full of beans all the time. So I think that sort of gets me through. And also like I get excited to see the people that are competing and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just happy all the time.
I love it. So let's talk about your most recent competition that's on open powerlifting, which ultimately is your qualifying dots or your ranked dots for the Ghost Clash. So take me, that was a competition in October of this last
Yep.
year, right? So take me
Mhm.
through your prep going into that meet. It looked like historically you'd competed at 181, sometimes 198. That meet you competed at 198, hit your heaviest total to date, your heaviest dots to date. So take me through what it was like going into that meet goal wise. Did you hit your goals? So that we know what present day Jaymie's looking at.
So here's another one of those situations I was just talking about. So the prep for that, I was actually filming gladiators. So normally I train 4 days a week. So I ended up training maybe two or three. So it was really tricky to like squeeze it in. I was in a commercial gym. Like every time I unracked the squat, I had the whole gym like, what the hell is she doing? I'm self wrapping, like 4 hours sleep. The gladiators are feeding me whatever. I'm just eating lollies all day and, drinking monsters and whatnot. So, like, my diet was not great. My training was using average stuff. Um, so, yeah, I basically fluked that comp. I went to Spain, did a quick strongman comp, jet lag, came back, competed. So, I don't know. I don't know how I do it. I just turn up and my squat that day, like my max squat was 250 kilos and I normally train by myself. So I just wrap my own knees and I asked, I said, Tom, can you wrap me on the day? And I squatted a 20-kilo PB. And I'm like, all because, Sarah and Lily, they had these big squats like 270. And I'm like, surely I can do that. So I just winged it. And I was like, what? Everyone was like, what the hell, Jamie? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I just manifested, yeah, okay, let's just put that on and see what happens. I don't know who I think I am half the time, honestly.
That's fucking nuts because that's nuts and that's fucking scary for
Yeah.
any women listening who are competing at the Ghost Clash, where it's like that's not even something that was expected. You just see other people. You're like, you know what? 270 sounds like a nice number. A 20-kilo fucking PB, and you got it fucking done, right?
I
That's
don't, yeah,
that's
yeah, I don't
nuts.
know. I
So
don't really think
what the
I just
craziest part
do.
is looking at your attempts, looking at your numbers from that meet, you missed a third bench, you missed a third deadlift. If you would have gotten those lifts, holy shit, your
Mm,
total, God knows what your total would have been, how close you would have been to the all-time world record total alone with that, right?
mm. I yeah, as I said, I took a bit of a YOLO on the squat and then I was feeling pretty confident with my bench, and I was sort of watching what Sarah was doing because I was like, we were sort of going for top place, and I weighed less than her, so it was kind of like if I lift more, being lighter, I might beat her. And like for me, as I said, I'm chasing, what she's doing because she's great. Like I want to be her. So I was like, I'm just going to wing the third ones and just see what happens. And obviously, I winged the squat, so that obviously took a lot of energy. I probably could have picked a bit smarter on the numbers. I thought, oh, fuck it. Like, I'm happy to be here. I'm having fun. I've got Lily and Sarah here. Like, we had a great day. And honestly, I didn't care where I came first, second, or third. Like, I was happy that if it was us three, since the beginning of time, we're here. It's, we're it. And yeah, we were just so happy to be together and compete against each other. And we're all pushing each other to do more. So for me to even attempt, I think I attempted like 162.5 kilo bench. I was like, if I had got that, that would have been like a 12 kilo PB. And I'm like, as I said before, who freaking knows what happens like with me if I say, oh yeah, let's just do that and it happens. Like sick. But it worked with the squat. Why not wing it on the rest of them?
So is that going to be your fucking approach for the Ghost Clash, or are we going to be a little bit more methodical with things?
Well, I've thought about it, but you know what? I think what I'll do is I'll try and get the squat because for me, that's my worst lift, if you say, which to be honest, I don't think it's that bad anymore. Once the squats are over, then I'm like, all right, bench. I think I've got a pretty good bench considering like I bench like 150 and I'm like, that's pretty up there for a girl. But usually if I'm like running behind on points or whatever, the deadlift, like it is my favorite lift. So I don't know, like I know that a lot of people are like going for like the world record and stuff lately, and it's kind of funny because it's like it just seems like such a Jaymii thing to do to just decide on the day to like break a world record or something. So I don't know what is going to happen, but if it moves, like I don't know, put 300 on the bar and just fucking let's just see what happens. Like that's the type of shit I do. Like so I don't know. I don't think I just do. So it just depends on the day. If I'm feeling myself, I'll YOLO and just see what happens. And if I get 300, I'll probably just sit there like shit. And people were like, "How did she do it?" And I'm like, "Don't know. Just happy to be here.
Just happy to
Like,
be here.
just happy to be here." Like,
That's insane because it's insane, but it's also so fucking cool and so laid back of a mentality to have. Because I mean, look, coming into this meet, you're spending a lot of money to get to Miami. It's a huge experience. It's an amazing city. There's all kinds of things that go around it. But then on the other end of the spectrum, there's a lot of money on the line, you know? So a lot of people, it's a mix of strategy of, okay, I want to, you know, am I going to give second place a run for their money? Am I going to be able to give first place a run for the money? Where am I going to fall in these rankings? Whatever it is to push my dots to where I need to be for third place, or shit, if I get into second place, it's an additional 2000, you know, USD, whatever the hell it is, you know, and that's where a lot of people's kind of thoughts go. Where can I finish in the ranking of those people for money to cover my expenses for, you know, whatever it is? But you, it's let's just see what the fuck goes on the bar. What happens?
yeah,
I don't need a 2.5 kilo PB. I don't need a 5. Why not go for a 25 kilo PB? Why not go for a 30
yeah,
kilo PB?
yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
And I think for me, like no one's gonna remember that you won like $10,000, right? But if I pick up something heavy and I'm excited, I make it known that like I'm fucking stoked. I'll be like, yes. And the experience and the atmosphere of people that they remember that shit. I don't care about money. Like obviously it's great and everyone needs it and whatnot, but money comes and goes. The experiences, it's like a once in a lifetime thing. Like I don't even know how much money's on the line. All I know is I'm going there and I'm going to probably get a cool photo with people that are fucking stronger than me. And we're going to have a sick time doing stuff that we like, listening to cool music. And like, I'm literally in Miami. Who cares?
Fuck yeah,
You
dude.
know,
Fuck
that's
yeah.
it.
It's so funny because towards the end of these conversations, I ask people, so what are your goals? And then people pull out their fucking, you know, I've had this written on paper in blood for the last 6 fucking months of my life. Every day when I wake up, I fucking look at it and I ingrain it in my head. This is what I need. 666. You know what I mean? Like that kind of shit is a lot of people, you know, their mentality and powerlifting. That's cool too. But it's really
Yeah.
fucking cool to hear someone who's so high at the top, has so much fucking fun with it, and has way
Mm.
more of a chill, laid back mentality. Because I'll tell you what, that is, I think, what also, you know, you hear so often about high level powerlifters having to take some time off, reaching burnout, getting, you know, burnt out with a sport, getting burnt out from competing. Look at you, dude. You're still you've been competing for years now. And you're still competing ton back to back, and you're still fucking having fun with it. So I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of people who are listening, whether you're a high level power lifter or you're just a beginner, I think that that kind of mindset could help people a lot go far and go longer in the sport. So that was
Mm.
very refreshing and different to hear.
Yeah, I just, like I'm into like, dress up parties and things like that. So for me, like that is a party for me. Like I love the music. I love, wearing, like I always do my hair. Most of the time I buy new shoes to match whatever's going on. Like to me, I'm dressed up. I'm happy. I'm with friends. Got good music. I'm lifting heavy shit. It's all the things I like. So like, what's there to be sad about? Like, I don't really think too deep into like writing stuff down and the numbers. As I said, I don't even know half the records. Like, I'm pretty sure I've got like a few world records. I can't even remember them. I'm just like, oh, that was a world record. Sick. Move along. Like, yeah, I live in the moment. I'm here for the experience. And yeah, I just have fun. So yeah, good times all around, lifting heavy shit and just being happy.
Hell yeah. Well, 7 weeks until good times in Miami. So far, I'm assuming your prep is going good. Who fucking knows what's going to be loaded in the bar, right? But girls, if you're listening, fucking watch out because some crazy fucking shit might go down, right? And you might offend some fucking people and come out of left field, and who fucking knows?
You know what I think's really funny? So I know I do it. Sometimes I'll look on Instagram and I go, okay, what's she lifting? What's she lifting? Whatever. I feel like no one will be able to guess. Even if I post everything I train, they'll never be able to guess because I'll just be like, fuck it, put a 20 kilo PB, and they're like, mind blown. So yeah, it's pretty funny. Like I don't have to be strategic. I just do what I do, and that's good enough. I just do that.
Well,
See what happens.
I will sit back. I'll get a front row seat, and I'll be excited to watch that show. The last couple high ranking flights on Pro Day are going to be fucking absolutely insane. Seeing multiple women deadlift over 600 pounds and fucking potentially 300 kilos will be fucking insane. And I am so stoked to have you there. And thank you for hopping on. Thank you for chatting. Sign us out. Let everyone know where they can find you on Instagram, social media, all that shit.
Yeah, so you can look up Jaymii Jigsaw, Jaymii with two I's, Jaymii, Jigsaw, one word. I post everything on there, and everything you need to know about me you can find like in the link in my bio and whatnot. So yeah, have fun with that.
And if you want to see Jaymii's old MySpace picture, you're going to look up her email address. Look at that photo. Dude, you need to find that photo and fucking post it. I dare you. If you get that 300 kilo deadlift, you got to post it. Shout me out with that fucking MySpace hair. I love it.
Oh, look, maybe I'll bring it back for comp day, but I'll only be able to see with one eye.
Yes. I used to have hair down here. I have super curly hair. I used to straighten the shit out of it. And my mom and sister make so much fun of me because it's like, it's really hard to straighten the back of your hair when you have really curly hair, you know?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I had the super scene straight hair all here in my face. And the back was, it kind of looked like the style, the guys did it like that, but mine was kind of nappier. It wasn't right, but yeah.
Yeah.
The good times. Good times.
Bit of hairspray, bit of gel. It's all right. The messier, the better.
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing is, Miami, the humidity's so bad, it doesn't last. But
yeah.
Jaymii, it was great chatting with you. Guys, thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the WRPF podcast.